this video, I'm going to show you how to make this scallop V-neck bubu gown. It has a deep V-neck at the back, as you can see, and it has a rope as well. And it also has this chantilly lace that I used on the sleeve, as you can see it right here. I was able to achieve this with 4 yards of Ankara fabric. You can make use of any fabric of your choice. And it has this adjustable pocket, as you can see right here. You can loosen it and you can tighten it up anyhow you wish, okay? So you can also make this pocket on this flare skirt, two-piece flare skirt that you are seeing right here. This is just exactly the same way to fix the pocket on it. So you can fix it on your skirt and also on the bubu gown as well, okay? Without wasting much of our time, let's get started. Do not forget to give my video a thumbs up if you find this video helpful. So now I have my Ankara fabric right here, and this is about 5.5 yards. It's a small Ankara fabric, and I have these pieces of chantilly that I used for the sleeve, okay? So now I'm going to fold my Ankara fabric. This part here is the 45 inches, the length part. Okay, so I'm going to fold this part now into two, and that is going to serve as my shoulder length, okay? So once I fold it like that, now I'm going to measure the length of my gown. So mark your preferred gown length. So mine is 61, and after marking it, I marked 1 inch for my hem. All right, so once I'm done doing that, now what I'm going to do is to come right here to the shoulder, to the neckline. So remember, this is on fold of 2, so I will mark 4 inches here. We are working with the front part first. I'll mark 4 inches right here for my neck width. Then I'll go down and mark 8 inches. So you can mark your preferred neck depth right here, okay? I'll mark 8 inches, and I'm going to get my ruler to make the V neckline. All right, so once I'm done making this straight line, I am going to come to the front of this neckline that I have here already, and I'm going to mark another 1 inch. I'll come forward here by 1 inch. Then I will also mark the same thing at the down part. I'll come up by 1 inch as well, just as you can see me doing like this, okay? Then I'm going to connect it with my ruler, and it's going to give me another V neckline, okay? So once I'm done marking like so, I am going to make a 2 inches mark on this V neckline that I have here before. I'll make a 2 inches neckline. I'm going to make a 2 inches to mark my scallop neckline. So I'll mark 2 inches from this part right here. I'll mark 2 inches from that line. I'll mark another 2 inches, okay? I'll mark another 2 inches like so. Then I'll mark another 2 inches like so. The more your V neckline, the more 2 inches you're going to mark. So once I'm done with that, I am just going to, on this 1 inch that I have on the upper part, so I have about 4 there. So I'm going to make this 1 inch that I came up by as my guard for my half circle, okay? So that's going to be the height of the circle for my scallop neckline. So I hope you understand. So just mark it like so for the guard. So I'm going to mark another half circle like so, making sure that it is touching the 1 inch as the height. Then I'll mark another one. So I have about 4 half circles on this my front neckline, okay? The deeper your neckline, the more the half circles you're going to have. I hope you understand. So I'm going to make another one. So I have about 4 here. Then once I get to this down part right here, I'm just going to make a small V neckline here. Small V neckline, okay? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So once I'm done with that now, I am going to come to my shoulder here, and I'll be making use of the entire fabric for my shoulder and the sleeve length, okay? Then I'll mark 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and then I'm going to connect it to the neck width. I hope you understand. So I'll connect it to the neck width like so, and I'm going to mark the straight line. I hope you understand. If you have any question, do not hesitate to ask me in the comment section. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to just come down and mark my sleeve opening. So the sleeve opening I'm making use of is about 11 inches. All right, so you can mark your preferred sleeve opening. So I'm just going to mark it like so, and I'll extend the line like this, and right here now on this line that we have marked, I'm going to measure the bigger part of my body, which is my bust. So if yours is your hip, you can make use of your hip measurement divided by 4, and you're going to mark it right here. Then I added 3 inches for ease, so you can mark as much as you want. So I made use of 3 inches, then I mark 1 inch for my sewing allowance. Okay, then I am just going to measure what I have there, and I'm going to mark the same value at the down part of my Bubu gown here. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it at the base right here, and once I'm done, I'm just going to connect both lines from that upper part to the down part like so. I hope you understand. So once I'm done, I'm going to cuff this armpit area so that it can relax properly. Okay, so once I'm through with that now, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut it out. So I'll be cutting out from this sloping neckline now with my 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Okay, make sure you cut out with your 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So I'm just going to cut it out like so. You can watch the way I'm cutting it out. Cut it out following the shape that you have right there, so that the scallop neckline can be obvious by the time you sew it out. All right, so I'm just going to continue following it like so. Then I'll continue following. So once I get to this upper part right here, remember that we have 1 inch there, so I'm going to, in between this 1 inch, I'm going to come out here with 1/2 inch. Okay, so we are going to be using the 1/2 inch to turn the neckline. All right, so this is what the neckline looks like. So once I'm done with that now, I'm just going to come to the shoulder here, and I'm also going to cut it here with my 1/2 inch joining allowance right here. Okay, so I'm going to cut it like this, and once I'm done with that, I'm going to come to the down part here, and I'm going to cut it out following my markings right here. All right, once I'm through with that, so I'm going to continue cutting till I am done at the sleeve opening like so. All right, so once I'm done cutting like this, I'm going to place another fabric, same length, same width. For my back part, I'm going to place it like that, and I'm going to place the front part on it. Same length unfold, and just the same way I cut it for the front part, then I'll place the front part on it, and I'm going to cut the shoulder to make sure that they are even. All right, then once I'm done cutting the shoulder, I'll cut the side like this to make sure that they are both the same. Okay, if you have any part that you do not understand, just let me know. All right, so I'm just going to continue cutting like so, and once I'm done cutting here, I'll come to the neckline, and I'm going to repeat exactly the same process as the front. So I'll mark my 4 inches neck width right here. So for my back, the back is a little bit deeper than the front. Then for my back, I'm going to be marking 12 inches for the depth of my back. Then I'll connect it, and I'm going to repeat the same process exactly the same way as I did in the front. All right, so here is what it looks like after I was done. You can see the front neckline, the deeper the neck depth, the more you have circles. So this is the front and this is the back. So now I'm going to be cutting the facing, and I have the facing on a fold of 2. Then I've placed it like so, and I'm just going to cut it out following that shape. Make sure that it's the same shape as your normal neckline. That is the same thing you're going to be cutting on the facing, and you're going to repeat the same process on the second part as well. So this is for the back, and I'll be cutting the facing also for the front part exactly the same way. So once I'm done cutting, I'm just going to measure about 5 inches downward like this, and I'm going to connect the lines just like so, and I'll cut it out. And once I'm done cutting, I'm just going to shape it by the side right here. I'm just going to give it a shape right here, as you can see, and I'm going to cut it out. Once I'm through with that now, this is my facing here. I'm just going to place it. I've just placed it on the back. This is the back I'm working with. I've placed it like so, making sure that they are matching at the half circle. So I'm just going to stitch down with 1/2 inch following the shape. Make sure you follow that shape the way when you're stitching, so that you can get the half circle so I can get the scallop effect properly. So before doing that, I'm going to turn the sides of this facing towards the wrong side. I'm going to just turn it toward the wrong side, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for the front facing as well. So just turn the sides and the down part like so, and here I'm just going to place it on the neckline like so after I am done folding the side. So here I have my rope that I'm going to be making use of, and the length of my rope here is about 25 inches. Then I'm just going to place this rope now in between this part. After this first circle here, after this first half circle here, I'm going to place it on this part right here. As you can see, I'll place it like this after the first circle. So after the first half circle there, so I'm just going to place it and pin it down, and repeat the same thing for this second side here like so. So I'm not going to be putting any rope on the front side, only the back part like so. Then I'm going to just stitch the same the way I told you to stitch. I hope you understand. So stitch the both sides and for the front as well. So here's what I have after I was done, and you can see how nice it's looking. So now I'm going to place them on each other like so, and I'm going to stitch down the shoulder area like this. I'm going to place the front and the back parts together and stitch down with my ½ inch allowance on the shoulder like so. Alright, so just stitch it down like this, and once I'm done with that, here is what I have. So I'm going to open the sleeve like this, and I'll measure what I have. So the value that I have right here, I'm going to be using the same value to cut out my chantilly lace fabric here. So here I have the same value plus about 1 inch on both sides for excess. So that is what I have right here. Then the width is about 4 inches, ½ inch to sew up and down, then 3 inches for my main height. All right, so this is the right side here. This is a little bit stretchy. Okay, so I'll just place this right side here. So I'll fold it into two like so and notch the midpoint. Then this side that is facing me here is the right side. Then I'll place the wrong side of the Ankara fabric on the right side of the chantilly lace, placing the midpoints together like so, and I'm going to pin it down on all sides like this. So once I'm done pinning it down like this, I am going to stitch it down with ½ inch. All right, ½ inch. So we are going to be having 3½ inches left. So I've turned it to the other side like this, to the right side now, and I've just went ahead to iron it. So you can use your hemming gum to make it stable, you understand, because it is stretching. So I'll mark my 3 inches now all the way down, and I'll fold in the remaining ½ inch. Okay, so I'll just fold in the remaining ½ inch here, and I'm going to stitch it down at the edge. All right, all the way down, and I'm going to repeat the same process for the second sleeve. All right, so just stitch it down at the edge tiny, and repeat the same process for the second sleeve. So once I'm done, this is what I have, and once I'm done with this now, I'm just going to fold it together like so, and I'm going to make sure that the Ankara parts are matching together like so. I'll cut out the excess that I have around here. Then I'm just going to stitch with my 1 inch allowance all the way down. I hope you understand. So once I get to this part here, I'm going to be making a slit around here. So I eventually made use of 15 inches for my slit. So just stitch it all the way around here, then make use of 15 inches for my slit all the way down. So plus the hem is going to be 16 inches. Okay, so here now we are going to be making the pocket. So this is the right side facing each other on a fold of 2. I have, sorry, it's on the right side. I have 8½ inches as the width, and I have 10.5 inches as the depth. Okay, so I will notch it at the upper part and at the down part as well, like so. I hope you understand. 8½ inches width and 10.5 inches depth. So I have another fabric here. It's about 2 pieces for 1 pocket. So it's the same length with this, with the width of the pocket here, plus about half inch that I'm going to be stitching down. Okay, so I'm going to stitch down on this half inch now, but I'm not going to be stitching down entirely straight. So the length of the height of this pieces that I have here is about almost 2.5 inches. So I'm going to get the midpoint. I'll mark the midpoint like this, and I'm going to stitch from the upper part here up onto the midpoint, and I'm going to leave this half-inch space for my rope casing. Okay, then I'll stitch all the remaining half-inch down. So here's what I have after I was done. So I'm just going to stitch down this rough edges now. I'm just going to stitch it down like so. I'll just stitch it down here and stitch it down here as well. So here is what I have after I was done stitching. So I'll place the opening part. You can see that opening part. I'll place it on the midpoint of the pockets. I hope you can see the opening part is the part that I placed. So I'm going to pin it down, then I'm going to stitch with half inch all the way down. I will not be stitching on that opening. Make sure you're not stitching on the opening. So once I'm done, here is what I have. I'm going to fold in half inch and then fold in again to cover the rough edges. So this is going to be our casing for the rope, you understand, to make our pocket adjustable. I hope you understand. So I'll just fold it, and I'm going to make a stitch at the edge of this band here. Okay, so my rope is about 20 inches or 15 inches, so you can mark your preferred length of your rope. And this is, I'm going to make use of 2 for 1 pocket. I'll put my safety pin and just put in my rope like this. Then once I get to the edge right here, once I get to this edge right here, I'm just going to cut out this excess and I'm going to bring it out. I'll bring it out like so. And once I get to this edge right here, I'm just going to remove the safety pin, and I'm going to pin down the rope to the pocket so it will not remove, so I can put in the second part, like this, the second part as well. I hope you understand. So here is the second part I've put, and I'm just going to stitch it down on the 2 sides. Stitch it down on the 2 sides. So you're going to repeat the same process for the second pocket as well. So once I put it together like so, I'm just going to make a curve, a little curve at the edge like this towards the opening part and not the part that is unfolded. Okay, so I'm going to open it like so, and from this part here that we have the curve, I'm going to be making a gathered stitch from here all the way down like so, all the way down like so. I'm going to be making a gathered stitch up until this part here. Okay, so I'm done with my gathered stitch, and I'm just going to gather it like so. So just gather the down part like this. So gather it like so, and once you're done gathering it, then I'm going to just bring our gown. Okay, so this is just exactly the same way you're going to fix the same pocket on the skirt. Is the same pocket, so I'll mark the midpoint so I will not be looking for it by the time I'm stitching. So this is one side of my bubu gown, one side. So from the upper part right here, I'm going to leave 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and I'm going to measure my half length plus 1 inch. I'll leave 1 inch from my tape, then count from 2 to mark my half length plus 1 inch. I hope you understand. Then I'm going to mark it right here, and I'll also mark it on the other side just like so. So turn it to the other side like this and mark it as well. This is one side, okay, where the pocket is going to be. Then I'm going to mark towards the midpoint of the fabric of the bodice. I'll measure 4 inches on both sides, both the front and the back side. I'll measure 4 inches inward. Okay, so the length of our pocket is about 10 inches, but I'm going to be marking 9.5. okay, I'll be marking 9.5, so we can leave half inch for it to have a little fall. I don't know if you understand what I mean, a little fall at the down part. Okay, so I'll just curve it the same way the pocket has the curve shape, so that I can follow the shape and place it. I hope you understand. So now this is what I have, and what I'm going to do now is to do the same thing at this back part here as well. Repeat the same thing at the back part. So this is the side where we have the joining. This is where we are working on, and we are going to repeat the same process on the other side as well. So just make your shape already like, so that it can be easy for you to follow it. I hope you understand. So now I'm going to open up this our gown right here. We're going to be opening it up because this is the only way I don't know that I can make it. So that is why I decided to make that marking, so it can be easy to sew on it. So make sure that you do not have any fabric underneath these markings. Okay, so I've just pinned it down following the markings. I'll pin it down like this at the edge, and I'm going to fold in about 1/2 inch, fold it, and fold the edge of the gathered part as well. Make sure that you are following the curve by the side. So this midpoint that I marked, I'm going to be placing it on the joining of the gown. Okay, you're going to place the midpoint of the pocket on the side joining of the gown, and you're going to merge it together. Okay, so you're going to just follow it, and you can spread the gather so that it can fit in well. All right, so just pin down the midpoint together like so, and once you're done pinning it down, just go ahead and repeat the same thing for this side as well. Just pin it down. That is why I said we should mark. So once we have marked like this, it's going to be easy to follow the lines, and it will be easy like that. So whatever your length of your pocket is, make sure you remove 1/2 inch so that the pocket will not be just straight. It's going to have a little fall. Okay, and a little fall to cover the gathers. I hope you understand. So I'll just continue marking it following the lines. I'll continue pinning it down. Then once I'm done pinning down and putting the rough edges at the gathered part area, at the gathered part inward, put it inside, then pin it down. Make sure you pin it down, and then I'm going to stitch. So I'm just going to start stitching on the edge like so. I'll stitch in the edge. I'm putting the rough edges inward. I'm just going to continue stitching and stitching and stitching all the way. Make sure that there is no rough edges outside. Just stitch it inward and up until you get to this part right here. Okay, and that is how to fix the pocket, and repeat the same process for the other side. Okay, so at the hem here, you can just fold in with whatever allowance you have added. Just fold your hem, and that will be all on this tutorial. If you have learned something new, do not forget to subscribe, like, and share my videos. Give my video a thumbs up, and let me know what you think about this Bubu gown. I am going to see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.